Is Warcraft 3 back? Maybe. BlizzCon 2026, September the 12th to the 13th in Anaheim, California, will have a classic tournament for each of those Blizzard games that you know and loved growing up with. So, StarCraft, Warcraft. You're going to get a tournament. It's pretty neat. Not what I was expecting, to be honest. The Blizzard Classic Cup brings Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft Remastered, StarCraft 2, and Warcraft 3 back to the BlizzCon stage for 2 days of thrilling competition. Community captains will draft all-star teams across these iconic titles to battle for glory on the new Blizzard Classic stage located in the Blizzard Arcade. So the arcade last time when I went in 2019, which is quite some time ago now, was down below. And they did actually have like booths for each of the different games. So the Warcraft, the Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft. So I can see them doing a similar rig to that, except this time it seems like they can actually have at least a little event going rather than just them being there and you can play the game there. So pretty neat. I don't know if they're going to have a giant stadium for it. That'd be freaking awesome if they did. So they have their own arena when I went there last time, but that was for StarCraft 2 games. But it would be really cool if they actually had a proper event. But if they say down in the Blizzard Classic stage in the arcade, well, we'll have to see what the plan looks like, the map. I don't know if they've done a map yet for the BlizzCon event. It is like 2026, so probably not yet. But we have another post here. BlizzCon 2026, coming soon. Sooner than you think. What an unexpected surprise, says Eat Bacon Daily. I wonder if Back to Warcraft or Grubby will be invited to cast. Grubby Todd Duo cast, says PM Your Problems Girl. I love the idea of this. I suspect Grubby already knows or may well have been invited, so feel free to give him lots of pressure and ask him all the time about whether he's been invited, because he can't answer you whether he has or not. And Back to Warcraft would also make sense, since they're big on the esports scene. I know Soul 8 Man has been paying a lot of attention, so he could maybe get a fly out over there. So there's quite a few community members. I'd love to go, but I suspect I probably wouldn't get invited. But you never know. What else are we saying? Yeah, there's Bunny and Jaxie, newsmaker journalists from the early 2000s, Warcraft 3 replays. Do you remember replayers.com? They used to have a little information trivia bit at the top, something like Robin Williams played Warcraft 3. You know, some sort of gimmick of the day or gimmick of the week. And you used to post your replays there. I remember that. It used to be a top replay of the week. That was awesome. Yeah, that's it's exciting. It's fun. It's nice to know. Let's hope the tournament goes a little bit better than the DreamHack one a while ago from 2018, was it, I think? I remember doing one of my videos and they kept having disconnects because they were playing with the reforged graphics. So let's hope the reforged graphics are not mandatory in this tournament and we can actually play Classic. They seem to actually have a lot more care for the game, the Blizzard team or the Classic games team that's currently in charge. They seem to respect the Classic, which is the idea, right? Respect your resource material. So it's the same thing when you're making a movie. If you have someone come in and you've got like Lord of the Rings, and you take on the project of Lord of the Rings, and then you basically bastardize it and put in your own intersectionality and your own ideologies, which don't match with what J.R.R. Tolkien actually wrote or produced or created, then you're making your own version of it that doesn't respect the fans or the product itself. And in this case, Warcraft 3, the product itself is Classic. We like Classic. So I like that they're doing more honor to Classic. It's even called the Blizzard Classic Cup. So that's pretty good. Strictly reforged graphics, right? No, I don't think so anymore. I don't know if they'll make it so you have to play with the HD graphics. I doubt it. I think you'll see the original graphics now. I think we've got past the point where they're trying to force reforged to be a thing. So this was in the Heroes of the Storm Reddit. They got at BlizzCon 2026, you can expect the return of classic BlizzCon staples. So that's going to be all of the good stuff. So let's have a quick look at this. So developer panels. I always enjoyed the developer panels. I didn't spend as much time out there with like the Back to Warcraft crew, which I did meet up with. I went to the arena to watch like a game, but at the same time I also wanted to go and check out the panels because they've already been to BlizzCon. It was my first time going to BlizzCon, so I wanted to make sure I saw all the panels and everything that I wanted to check. I've always watched the panels as sort of like a nice, cool event. It's something I've always looked forward to. I mean, not so much these days, but back in the day, it was like Christmas or something like that, getting to watch all the World of Warcraft panel, the Hearthstone panel, all the games that I was actually into at the time. Yeah, so I love that. They got the tavern. I went to that. The portfolio and resume reviews. I didn't do that. Here's my review of my resume. Hire me. They got the World Cups. That would be like this arena, the big arena where they have the stadium. And then you got the Blizzard Classic Cup over here as well. So that's nice to see. And then hands-on gameplay with whatever their latest game is going to be. And this is 2026, so you'd think they would have some new big game to release by this point. What was the last big game they talked about? Diablo 3, right? Unless there's been something else. I mean, technically Warcraft Rumble might have come out after Diablo 3. I'm not 100% sure. But, yeah. Sorry, Diablo 3, I said. Diablo 4. There's so many Diablos now. Diablo 4. Yeah, and that was when I went, 2019. You could play Diablo 4. So, it's been a while. So you do have to wonder what they got in store. I guess we can pontificate on that. But for now, let's have a little moot on this. And let's have a listen to Back to Warcraft's video. They talk about the event. And I want to see what Neo has to say. Or hear what he has to say.
Back in March, Blizzard announced their return after 3 years to the Anaheim Convention Center to run their traditional fan expo, BlizzCon. We haven't had one of those in 3 years, and especially back in the day, BlizzCon was always the event of the year for new titles of Blizzard, new expansions, updates in general around Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, StarCraft, whatever.
Yep.
The spotlight, of course, was on the big games, and we here in a niche around a classic game of Blizzard, we're oftentimes disappointed. Sometimes Warcraft, StarCraft, Heroes of the Storm wasn't even mentioned with one word, even though they...
It's because it was a no-no word. It's a naughty word. You can't say it. Also, you just said in chat, they cancelled the new survival title. I remember that. That was ages ago. The idea of that being worked upon. And that sounds like a cool thing. A survival game. Blizzard haven't done one of those. I'm sure they could do a good job of copying because that's what they normally did. Obviously, these days, it's people just say hard copium that Blizzard can do anything. But yeah, I would have liked to at least seen it. But what have they been doing since? They're a big company, right? What are they doing?
They carry the big legacy of Blizzard from the big successes in the 2000s and before. In 2026, this will be a bit different because Blizzard has announced the pre-sale of BlizzCon, and a little hidden was news for our classic games. Unexpected news because it's esports tournaments for Warcraft, StarCraft, and Heroes of the Storm. In the news, they say there is a new classic stage in the Blizzard Arcade, and they also mention the best in esports with the inaugural Blizzard Classic Cup. If you dig a little deeper and go to Blizzard's esports page, it reads, the Blizzard Classic Cup brings Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft Remastered, StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 back to the BlizzCon stage for 2 days of thrilling competition. Community captains will draft all-star teams across these iconic titles to...
Who do you think the community captains would be for Warcraft 3? I mean, you could easily argue Grubby would be one of them, but that's if he's not separately hosting the event or something like that. Because if he's hosting the event, he might not be a captain because that would be I don't know, it wouldn't gel necessarily doing that. It's like being a director and also a producer and also an actor in your own movie. There's only so many roles you can really give proper attention to. So yeah, could be Grubby and Todd. Todd's done a lot of BlizzCon events and stuff, so he knows how to do that. Otherwise, I could see Moon doing it, but I don't think Moon would be a host necessarily because I'm not sure. I think he can talk English, but I don't think he could talk English necessarily quickly or coherently enough. I mean, I'm sure people would love to have him as a host, whether they could hear him properly or not. So who says? Who says? Who knows?
Battle for Glory on the new Blizzard Classic stage located in the Blizzard Arcade.
Do you think they try to bring in the streamers again like Tyler One and Soda? That's a good point. I don't know, actually. I assume this is more of a proper tournament, aka professional players going at it and being the best of the best. So whilst that is a fun idea and would certainly bring a lot of attention, having popular streamers compete in the tournament, I suspect it wouldn't be that case. You either do one or the other. I don't think you can have a mix of like really good players and then streamers that would have have like 1200 MMR or something.
Kate, this sounds like one competition for all the titles. Maybe it just reads that way. Maybe we will have a tournament for every game. Maybe it's like an esports World Cup format where every tournament is a discipline and you gain points for an overarching team. But maybe they're gonna mix it up and Flash will be playing Warcraft or a Happy will be playing Heroes.
Flash. Is that the legend from like StarCraft, the original? I think that was like way back in the day when it's, esports super, super big. Well, they've always been big. They're bigger now than they've ever been, really. But, I mean, even if you went all the way back 20 plus years, they were massive because of like big popular names like Flash, I'm pretty sure. Also, you say proper English for hosting among Koreans, I think is Law Light. Yeah, I met Law Light as well. Technically, we didn't really speak, but he was with Remo and Neo. So I suspect he is probably quite good at speaking English since he was with those chaps talking away with them.
Of the Storm. No details were given about the format, prize money, nothing. But Blizzard is giving the classic games a stage again after literally burying them for years, and that can only be seen as good news. For StarCraft and Heroes of the Storm, it's a return after 6 to 7 years. For Warcraft 3, it's a return as a competitive format to BlizzCon after 15 years. And it follows a trend. It follows a trend at Blizzard that the classic games are getting more attention again. Previously, they were all in maintenance mode.
It's because their new stuff isn't working quite so well.
Heroes of the Storm, StarCraft, and Warcraft got a patch, and the cycle continued. It was spread throughout the year. Now, instead of this cyclical schedule, all the games are developed in parallel. For Warcraft 3, we got the big patch 2.0 in November last year.
Yes.
And a lot of good patches afterwards for stability, compatibility, balance, of course. For StarCraft, things are still a little slower, but they have a new approach where it's not only balance changes anymore led by esports people, but also bug fixes that have been launched in October, I think. And for Heroes of the Storm, it's already the third patch for the game in 2025 coming out at
Copium of the Storm. They have a funny subreddit. Every single time anyone posts anything positive about Heroes of the Storm, they're all like, cope, 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 cope. I'd love the idea of Idra coming back. He made StarCraft 2 a lot of fun to watch. He wasn't necessarily the best player, but I was always interested in watching his games because he'd rage or, you'd want him to win despite, well.
The moment. It's developed in parallel. It's at the same time. There's more activity around the classic games, and that also follows the initial BlizzCon trailer that they put out in March. It literally starts with the storm in reference to Heroes of the Storm, and their tagline for the trailer was, "What was lost can be found again." And Warcraft 3, StarCraft 2, StarCraft 1, Heroes of the Storm, in the realm of Blizzard, they were lost. Everything was around WoW, Overwatch, Hearthstone. And things seem to change, at least a little bit. Let's not get our hopes up too high.
I'm getting my hopes up. I know what this is now. This is Warcraft 3 reforged, but not actually reforged. It's just the title they're going to give it, which would be the wrong title to give it, but it's the hype that Warcraft 3 is going to be re-released once again. Yep, Heroes of the Storm 2, StarCraft 2. It's all coming back. All the games we love.
2019.
Just a remake
of the arcade. It's a little bit of a basement section of the BlizzCon, but it's charming. So hopefully they keep the spirit there. Maybe they surprise me and it's a lot bigger than in 2019. It does follow their new overlords, maybe. Because Blizzard was acquired by Microsoft, and their treatment to Age of Empires is rather similar. Age of Empires still gets a lot of patches, DLCs, and tournament support. And while we shouldn't expect a Wololo for all our beloved classic games, at least we're getting attention. At least we're alive. At least we are mentioned. And this can only make us hopeful for the future. And we'll see what it is. More news about the Blizzard Classic Cup as soon as we get them. So if you don't want to miss any of this, hit the subscribe button. We'll be right there. And in the meantime, bring you the best Warcraft 3 esports from all around the world. Let me know in the comments what kind of format you envision, you are hoping for. What's your dream scenario for the Blizzard Classic Cup? And
I almost get a feeling the cynical part of me would be people writing comments of saying just leave Warcraft 3 alone. I could see that being there. But if it's classic and they're respecting classic, I'm okay with it. Just try not to push the reforged.
What are maybe fears of yours as well? What could go wrong? What should Blizzard definitely not do? Maybe together we can shape the Blizzard Classic Cup. Very much looking forward to this. These games deserve it because they're the heart and soul of Blizzard. And we're back, boys. See you in a bit.
All right, there you go. Thank you very much. Back to Warcraft. Neo, good video. Informative and fun. He also is a beacon of light for the Warcraft 3 esports community. So check out his channel and let me know what you guys think. I think this is a good thing. I think it's exciting, intriguing, and we'll have to wait and see what's in store.